Hello and welcome to Iridium Rock and Metal Reviews. And today I'm going to be doing ranking the year. So we're really moving quite fast on this now. So we're up to 2001. Not a bad year, you know. Some good releases and a lot of variety as well on my list. So you know how this works by now. There was actually 7 albums. I haven't got any honourable mentions, but I wanted to include all these 7 in my list because they were all quite strong. Some of these were more stronger at the time, and I've sort of lost interest in them now. Others have stuck with me, you know, and I think they're the ones that have scored higher on my list. So I'm going to go number 7 first. Remember, these are all strong albums, but these are my number 7 is going to be obviously my least favourite of my strongest albums from that year. So as always, please put any that I might have forgotten that I might like. I've found some really good bands, by the way. Thank you all the listeners for that, for telling me about some bands I've never heard of, and now I'm listening to their stuff. So that's brilliant. Right, so number 7, Rammstein, Mutter. So this was one that I really got into. I never liked their earlier stuff. I think this for me is their strongest album. I've listened to all their albums after as well, and couldn't quite get into them as much as I did this one. But as I said earlier, this is an album that hasn't stuck with me now. I don't play it. But I did back then, and I think had quite a bit of influence around that time in my life. But you know, I could appreciate the band. I haven't seen them live, but I've, you know, watched some stuff of them live, and without a doubt, they are good at what they do. Put on a good show. It's not for everyone, this. Obviously, they sing in German. If you really don't know about Rammstein, I'm sure that everyone on here does. But there's some good tracks on here. Mein Brent is a good one. The opening track, Links 234, was really good. Sonne was one of my favourite tracks at the time. Brilliant video accompanied that as well. Ich will and Mutter. So, you know, this one's full up with tracks that, you know, that I think some of their strongest ones. Really good. I'd give Rammstein Mutter 7 out of 10. My number 6, Tool, Lateralis. So this also is my favourite Tool album. Like I said, I was heavily into this one at the time. Obviously progressive metal band, odd time signatures throughout the album, you know, but I don't think a lot of this album didn't do it so much where you couldn't get into the groove. It had a real good groove about this one as well, and I think that's probably why I liked it the most out of all their albums. I know that a lot of fans are really into Tool, and you know, they idolise them. I can sort of understand that. They're a really clever band. They give something different than anyone else. But with other people, their songs seem to go nowhere. You know, they have 9-10 minute songs and they never seem to go anywhere. You know, I think they can be, for me, sometimes I can listen to songs and think, do you know what I mean? It's not going anywhere, but other times they really impress me. You know, I'm stuck in the middle with Tool, really. Some of the best songs on here, the opening one, The Grudge. The Patience, my favourite track on this album. Schism's a good one, the lead single, I think that was, and Lateralis, the track itself, is a really good song. So, you know, this was easily one of my favourite albums at the time, definitely. It's another one though, like I said, I might play Tool now and again in the car, but it's not the first thing I grab. And I'll give Tool Lateralis 7 out of 10. My number 5, System of a Down, Toxicity. So this was back in 2001, this was the album that I played every day. This was the band I was really into. This album especially, you know, obviously they're really strange to listen to. There's something completely fresh. Well, there was definitely back then as well. This one was the strongest album for me, Toxicity. And loads of good tracks on it. Needles, Chop Suey, the single, probably heard that a bit too much now. Forest was one of my favourites. Science as well. But the standout track for me on here, and I think it'll always be my favourite System of a Down song, is Aerials. I love that. When it gets heavy at the end, sounds a bit Sabbathy to me. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely brilliant. Quality album from System of a Down, this. And I'll give Toxicity 8 out of 10. My number 4, Avantasia, the metal opera. So this was a bit of a strange one for me. I never got into Avantasia until probably about maybe a year and a half ago. Started listening to them, listened to all the back catalogue. This wasn't my favourite album of theirs, the metal opera. It's the first one, obviously. Tobias Sammet, he was the Edguy singer, guitarist. Don't know if he'd done guitar in Edguy, but then he got this together. I don't know if it was meant to be a project at first. Loads of brilliant singers and guitarists, musicians from all over the world. Some really quality people coming in to sing on this album, and there's some really special tracks on this. I am into the more straightforward songs on these Avantasia albums. The more rocking songs, the more metal, I suppose, the less opera-ish type songs, the less musical type songs I like. Some of the songs I like in here: Breaking Away, Farewell, The Glory of Rome's a really good track. The Avantasia track itself, and Sign of the Cross is some of my favourites on here. And I'll give Avantasia, the metal opera, 8 out of 10. My number 3, Savatage, Poets and Madmen. So, yeah, the original vocalist, who's actually my favourite vocalist for Savatage, come back into the band for this album, John Oliver. And he sang across, like I said, my favourite albums, which were Hall of the Mountain King, Gutter Ballet. And I don't know, I think I like him so much because he had a definite style and character to his voice. That scream he does, especially on the older albums. It's unmistakable. Superb. And like Savatage, it's another latecomer for me. Even though I heard them Gutter Ballet and Hall of the Mountain King back then, I didn't listen to any of their other stuff till recently. So I'm really glad I did, and this makes it into my top 7 at number 3. So really good album. I think it's the last one they did. There in the Silence, a good track. I Seek Power. The Rumour, Surrender, some of my favourite tracks on here. So I'll give Savatage, Poets and Madmen 8 out of 10. Right, and my number 2, Jawn, World Changer. So this Jawn Londay, if anyone who hasn't heard of him, and I'm sure they have all across the world in the heavy rock metal community, got a fantastic voice. This is one of his second album. I didn't like his first album too much, and that's why it didn't appear on any of my lists. But I think he started to find his feet with this one. This is a bit of a fan favourite, this one as well, World Changer. And Jawn is a big, huge Dio, David Coverdale fan, and obviously their music influences his. Sometimes people, and even myself, sometimes think a bit too much. Perhaps he goes for the Dio side a little bit too much. It's a bit too obvious. But sometimes when you can't mistake what a brilliant voice, and it's as strong as Dio's as well. Back if he was singing back in the early 80s and the mid 80s, who knows? Do you know what I mean? If he was back then, but he's not. But he's done some quality material. He's one of my favourite artists, Jawn. And I love this album. I don't know, it's had a different feel than the albums later on as well. But some of my tracks on here, standout tracks. He also has a lot of the Avantasia stuff as well. He does a lot with Tobias Sammet. So Sunset Station, love that track. House of Cards, quality Jawn track that. World Changer as well, title track, brilliant. Can't say enough about this guy, and his music is superb. And I'll give Jawn, World Changer, 8 out of 10. My number one for 2001, Iced Earth, Horror Show. Love this album. It's perhaps not the best album that Iced Earth have brought out, but it's still strong. And this is like a theme running through horror show, and it was like horror films and books and stuff like that. You got a track called Wolf, which is superb. Damien, obviously we know what that's about. Ghost of Freedom's maybe my favourite track on here. Jekyll and Hyde, you get the picture. So interesting to do a horror themed album. I love horror films anyway. But yeah, it was a really strong album. But like I said, maybe not the strongest. Iced Earth's another band where the first album I heard was The Glorious Burden. Can't remember what year that was. It was a few years ago now. I loved it, but didn't listen to any of their other stuff even then. Didn't go back, and didn't listen to anything for a long time. And then I really started listening to Iced Earth again about a year and a half ago, and got really into the band. They really give you something different. It feels familiar, but it's different at the same time. Definitely Iron Maiden vibes in there. Some of their early stuff's, well, even now actually, they're quite heavy, little bit thrashy, but never extreme metal. You know, it's really on the heavy metal side. You really got to give this band a go if you haven't heard them. They're real epic sounding. Absolutely love it. And it's really heavy as well. So that's my number one Iced Earth Horror Show. Funny enough, I only give that 8 out of 10 as well. So nothing scored massively high. It's a strong, strong for the amount of releases that I liked. But nothing, I didn't give anything the full marks for this year. But there's some good albums there. And the ones that I really put near the top are the ones that I listen to now. I think, even though System of a Down, Tool and Rammstein were really good at the time, and I loved them, and they were probably my main bands back then to listen to. They were the albums I was listening to non-stop. They've gone by the wayside a little bit through the years, and that's just my opinion. So that's it for 2001. Not sure what I'm going to put up tomorrow, but I'm glad you hope you've enjoyed the video. Please give me some comments about new stuff to listen to if I've missed it off. You know now what sort of stuff I like, and that'd be great. Please subscribe then the bottom right hand side of your screen. If you can hit the subscribe button, that'd be great. And comment, please. Thank you very much.